Hi, this is John Doe, aka Frags with the DNB Academy, and welcome to another sound recreation video. Alright, for this one, I'm bringing you this lovely new tune from Alix Perez called Wairua, and we're gonna be recreating the Respace that Alix Perez uses throughout pretty much the whole track. So before starting things, let's take a listen to the original tune first. Alright, so there it goes.
To get me high like you.
So vibey. So yeah, there we go. This is pretty much the sound that takes over the whole tune. So it's really important, and then it's a bit different from the most common respaces that you might hear. And there's quite a few particular things that I figured that Alix is using on this one to make it sound this spacey and also this, I would say, like cohesive. All right, so let's flip the screen and get into Serum so we can start designing the patch from scratch. All right, so there we go. We've got a brand new initial preset. I already got the MIDI covered, so this is pretty much how it sounds. Really cool melody progression going on here. But let's start taking care of our sound, all right? So this is a respace. So the concept of the respace will be just having two identical but yet detuned from each other saw waves, all right? And that's pretty much how we're gonna do. We're gonna take both these saw waves, and we're gonna detune them in the fine tuning. Like let's say this one, for instance, -12, and this one +12, all right? So now we should be having a sound like this. We can hear like the respace phasing going on, and that's exactly what we want. But obviously this is just too high. So let's start cranking down a few octaves. If we go like 3, it's too much. So let's keep it -2 in this patch. And the next step would be, for me at least, turning on the mono, legato, and always option, and just playing around a bit with the portamento and leave it somewhere around like 70, 60 milliseconds. So we should have this bridge, this good connection between notes, like a proper respace should have. And then next step would be obviously trying to get a bit more of a sub bass out of our sound. So we're going to turn on the sub oscillator, match the same octave, but this time we're going to click on the direct out. So this way our sub bass won't be affected by all the processing and most of the things we're going to be doing within the effects rack here on Serum. All right. So now that we got it, what we need to do next, since we do have the sub bass coming out straight off Serum, we need to turn on the filter. With this filter, we're going to be taming down all the mids and the highs from our sound, just to make sure we get the rich and full low end on our track. So let's assign the filter to both oscillators. So this time we're already getting more of a respacey vibes. Let's crank up the filter and drive also somewhere around like 15%. Let's leave it like this for now. So we can still hear a bit of the mids and the tops, but not that much. So this is exactly what we want, all right? Then here, and then let's just turn on the noise oscillator, because this will help us achieve a bit more brightness on our tops after all the processing gets in. So now we can add this and run it through the filter. And this is more of a for future reference sake, because even if you don't want to use this bass sound, obviously as a recreation sound from this tune from Alix Perez, you can use it as your own respace. So this will help you achieve like really crisp modulations later on by just opening the filter like this. So that's why we add that white noise there. Okay, now let's move on to our effects rack. And this is where we started like add more character to our sound. So let's start by distorting it. Sorry, let me get the filter a bit more open so we can hear what's going on the overall sound. Let's go with the tube. It's fine to me. Turn on the chorus. Let's not go that crazy with it. Just control the low pass frequency here so we don't assign that much chorus to the low end. Then we're gonna turn on our multiband compressor. All right, so what we need is to sort of get a fat and solid low end. So we actually gonna take down most of the highs, I would say like all of them, here on the multiband compressor. We will boost a bit of the mids and we'll actually crank the lows quite a bit. So this way we're already getting the full spectrum of our respace here, but we still need quite a bit of work. And the next step would be adding an EQ so we can take off some of these harsher mid frequencies that can create loads of muddiness to our sound and to our actual overall mix down. All right, so let's just add this notch filter here so you can see the res starts to get clearer. All right, so in terms of patch, I would probably just like to make things a bit more wider. We could open up like this oscillator and just leave it like this, like 3 voices, just tame down the detune by 0.22, something like this, and we create just a little bit more width to our sound, so we don't get like a full-on center mono respace, even though we're gonna be making some processing to overcome that. Now the patch is pretty much done. What we need to do is some processing, some post-processing. So first things first, we're gonna filter this out even more. We need this respace to be way milder so we can get that that vibey sort of roomy sound going on. So let's get a low pass filter again. This time we're gonna just be a bit more aggressive and we can go somewhere here. All right. So this way we are creating way richer low ends, and we're sort of putting this filter on top of the other one so we can remove, I would say like 90% of the mids and the high mids especially. All right. So next step would be EQing, because we want to make things pristine, right? So if we want to do that, and since we know that we applied loads of chorus, there's detune going on our patch, we gonna just use our Pro Q here and choose the side band here, so we can actually remove all the stereo from, let's say, like 150, 130 hertz below. So this way we'll get like our main sub-harmonic will always be dead center, and actually the second and third harmonic will also not be that spread out throughout our spectrum. So we want things to be precise. All right, guys? So now moving on to that part where I actually feel that we really need to get more ambience going on this race, because we're actually super close to our full sound, even if we increase a little bit of our sub here. So we are there, you know. We could like just put up the EQ here, add another band, just make it stereo, roll off these excessive lows from like 20 hertz below. Then we can actually boost this a little bit, our lows, so we can have like a richer and even louder sub bass especially. All right. So now that we got the EQ out of the way, let's take care of that ambience. All right, so how can we do that? Let's go with the technique, with a parallel reverb technique. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna split the sound pretty much into the dry signal, which is our actual sound as it is right now, and we're gonna be layering it with a reverb layer that's gonna be acting up only on those, like the remainder of those mids and highs. all right? So to do so, I'm gonna be using my favorite reverb. This reverb helps a lot. So what we're gonna be doing next is just doing some settings here. I'm gonna choose the now preset here, the color, because it's a bit more precise, and as it sort of says here, it's not that colorful as the vintage like 70s and 80s. I'm gonna group this, so I'm gonna Control G on this one. So we have our audio effect rack, and here we've got a reverb chain, which is the Valhalla vintage, and now we're gonna create another chain, which is our dry signal. So this is our actual Respace, the output from everything that we've done before. And then we've got this reverb layer, but obviously it's just crazy. We need to fix this. So before the reverb, we're gonna Pro-Q it. So we are actually telling even though we can do this within Valhalla vintage, we still need to make sure that we're not feeding any low-end information to our reverb. So these are actually the parts of the sound that we want to have reverb upon, all right? So after doing so, we can try to get like a good sounding reverb for this. So I would recommend to go with something not that big, like this concert hall or bright hall, for instance. I would go with something smaller, like room, and not that long of a decay, okay? So let's make sure it's another help here, so we can look out the reverb as well. So it's just another way of making sure we're not getting reverb on our low end. All right, and in the high cut, we can leave it like, it's up to your taste, but I would say something like this. All right, and now we need to make sure we get these reverberated parts of our bass up on our mix. So we're gonna use an OTT from Xfer here, and this way we can actually just crank up those mids and those highs to make that ambient sound more natural. All right, so let's take off all the lows again. Now let's get this, you know, like these mids and highs, just like somewhere around here, like sort of like up to your taste. And now let's just hear, and I can see like, obviously we're using an OTT after reverb, so it's gonna create like a huge tail. You can try to put the OTT before the Valhalla vintage and see how it sounds. So the tail is not that pronounced, so let's keep it this way. And then on the decay, let's just decrease it a tiny bit. Exactly, there we go, it's just not that long. And now it's all about mixing both as inputs, all right? So we got the reverb and the dry signal, and we need to make sure that these two are balanced, all right? So let's take a listen. It's a bit too much. Let's go dB by dB until we feel like everything is sounding as one. So yeah, I think we can go with this one. We don't want this layer to be super pronounced, we want it to be like laid down and bottom. So that's pretty much what we are achieving right now. Now that we have these two layers playing, we can just play around with our filter to see which part, like, you see now that we open it up, we can create like really cool automations out of it. But the main part that we want, just to make sure that we got like these super deep, but yet clinical sounding Respace. So let's just put this where it matches the Alix Perez tune, which is somewhere around here, the 500 Hertz. That's sort of the part that we're taking off, because we still want to be left with these following harmonics up to from our first one, all right? So yeah, let's hear the final results of our Wairua Respace from Alix Perez, and let's see if it actually fits the tune, which I'm pretty confident it will. So yeah, let's go.
They gave me high like you.
So let's look at it again. So yeah, there we go. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you can take the most out of this tutorial and use this on your own productions. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.